Perfect antiseptic for what happened last weekend, getting the dub in Central Arkansas, or
I don't know.
where do you land on it?
Just like always, I go back and watch the film. I think we played hard, though. I do know that. I don't know how good we played, but we did play hard. Hard week when you have finals coming off a loss. Um, so too early probably to stamp it as mission accomplished, but certainly back on course. I thought we responded. We took a coaching really well in the film rooms. I thought the words that the kids were using to each other today when things got some adversity even hit today, I thought their words to each other were phenomenal. So I'm going to preliminarily tell you again, not mission accomplished, but back on the right path.
Dominated the free throw game, turnovers. You had a good cushion there most of the game. And then points in the paint and second chance points, sort of the blue collar stuff kind of stood out.
Felt like points in the paint was going to be a big one for us, driving it in there. They're hard to score on, especially with Bowman. Getting her in foul trouble was big. If you look at, their opponents who they've played, they haven't had very many games in the 70s, like one or two. So we felt like we could approach that. Our defense would give us enough chance. We fell in love with the three a little early, a little bit because we made our first one, and sometimes that happens. But thought we got back to driving it. I thought Sam and Mac were really, really good in that area, and then I think everybody else kind of caught on and was contagious and followed their lead.
Last part before I turn it to someone else, with Scott having the game that she had and Hoffenberger obviously with the rebounds, but not her double night. You had other players step up and a double-digit win. What does that tell you?
Well, that, we can't control how the other team wants to defend us. They were going to run at Talia with a multiple player and make the path difficult for her. I thought she showed amazing maturity as a freshman. This is the first night she's probably not shot it like she wants to. She'll be more mad about missing 4 free throws than anything. But I thought she stepped it up defensively. She kept guarding. She got up there and got that steal that kind of ignited a little mini run that kind of got us enough separation. And then she started taking it to the paint. She is so shifty. A lot of times she was making moves and she'd be by the kid and the kid would still be standing over here and then she'd cross back over and come right back to her. So she took coaching at halftime, and our words from Mac and Sam to her were, "We got you tonight. You've been, having to carry the load at times, and tonight was our night to be able to step there and help you up." Sailor's in a lot of pain to get 13 rebounds in the pain that she's in, and the way they were playing her. I thought she distributed the ball, moved the ball. She got a lot of hockey assists that won't show up on this stat sheet, but Marion playing, I think a season high, maybe career high minutes. I don't know. We'll have to test Kylie's ability. She's running to there to check that right now, but I'm going to say that was her career high for minutes played. And I thought she was, plus 16. You look over there, her, Sam, and say they're plus 16, plus 17, plus 16 is really, really good. Mac playing through some foul trouble was kind of a catalyst for us and really a steadying. And then I thought we got some help off the bench. Like Christina's minutes were good. Carly's minutes were good. And Jenna had some very timely rebounds and then hit that three there at the end to kind of cap it off. It's a matter of time before she gets her legs, her game legs under her. She's a really good shooter too. So I don't think we shot the three well, but I was proud that we stopped taking as many. In the past, we've kind of kept shooting them. Tonight we didn't.
Mike, it just seems like you have a lot of players that kind of they're really hard on themselves. Like Talia's really hard on herself. Sailor can be. I mean, just how do you coach? Like it seemed like Talia was mad at herself for a lot of games. Just how do you, as a coach, handle those sort of situations?
Guys, again, I'm not gonna be that. Y'all aren't gonna see me on some national news. It is really hard to be a student athlete these days. It's really hard. And we lost to UAPB and we heard all kinds. You cannot hide. I spent my whole night the whole week protecting those kids. So they are incredibly hard on themselves. And you're spot on, Ethan. It is so hard. There's almost a sense of relief when you win rather than excitement nowadays. And that's happened in the last 2 years. I don't know how much of it's post-COVID. I don't know how much of it is the lunacy of social media when people don't even know the facts but want to have an opinion, and not even just a big opinion, like a deep-rooted, think they have an informed opinion, and send these kids some of the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. They'll come and say, "Coach, you see this one?" And we had fun with it. I said, "Well, let me show you some I got. Let's see who got the worst one." We had a little fun with it. So I think as long as we protect each other, they got my back, I got their back. at that point in time, that's all we can ask for. But they are really, really hard on themselves. So anything anybody out there listening can do to help them understand that, it's still a game. It is, and winning is important, and they want to win. But man, when it gets personal, it's so hard on them. So we protect them, try to coach them the best that we can. But it is not an easy thing. It's not something we have a lot of experience with because it's all new to everybody.
So that this environment, it is a home environment for y'all, but it's different. I mean, and having Mac and Sam kind of have the game that they've had, being players who have played here before. Just what do you think about their ability to maybe settle the team in?
Just really super proud of them, because they've been very patient. We've talked about what we need to do to be a great team. And it's not, it was no big deal with it. We got it tonight. And it is a home crowd, but that's it. I mean, it's not your home rims. It's not we had to travel. We stayed in a hotel. We had to get up early. You have to take the bus. You're here 2 hours. So again, I think y'all all know me well enough. We're going to challenge our kids we could have picked a much easier opponent to play here. But again, I'm just not one that's big on having any false confidence. I want to know, and I still don't know where we're at. And I'm not sure we will know until, January, February, and the SEC rolls around. But I look around the country, and there's 2 scores tonight. I've said it before, but I look at another score and I go, that can't be right. I'm sure people thought that about our game the other night. Maybe we were one of those teams, but there's 4 or 5. I'm looking here on the first 3 or 4 scrolls. I'm like, wait, that can't be right, but it is. So I'm proud that our kids have continued to find different ways. If you look at our 12 games, is it 12, 9-3? None of them have been the same. They've all required something different. So I'm really proud with where we're at going to this tournament. Looking forward to some Florida sunshine.
With how tough this week was that you just mentioned, to get off to the start you did, I mean, open layups missed, open threes missed, but then to find the gritty way that they won, does that make it a little bit better?
Yes, very gratifying, very satisfying, hey, we can do this, and I think it all went back to playing hard. We didn't challenge them to play great. Y'all can go in there. It's probably still up on the board. We're not going to play perfect. We might not play great, but man, we can play hard. We didn't play very hard last Sunday. We had, and Coach Schaefer mentioned it, and I remember when Coach Calipari said it, we had a very arrogant performance last week. And I think our kids took it to heart. Like, they watched the film. They were very critical of themselves without the coaches having to be. So kind of those pains that change you a little bit. There were moments today, I'll be honest with you, there were moments where you thought, oh, here we go again, because we were missing some layups and we did miss some shots and we blew some defensive coverages, but they settled in, hold them to 18%. Lexi Pritchard is an unbelievable guard. I've been watching her since she was very young when I was on the West Coast. When I watch film, I don't ever pull a roster out. I just put the film on, and I kept looking at her and I kept going, she looks so familiar, and I could not place who she was. And I finally had to pull the roster out, and I was like, I had no idea she had gone, because she's from West Lynn. It's Peyton Pritchard's sister that plays in the NBA. And when I was at Washington, she was an up and coming star. So I don't know how I can tell you this. Sometimes I look at their game notes. This team was picked 7th out of 8th in their league. I will predict in front of anybody in this room, they don't finish 7th in their league. I think they've got a good squad. She does a heck of a job with them. I know it sounds like I need it, but thank you. Go ahead.
Sadie Stetson for them. I know you mentioned her before the game started, but really kept them in it with her shooting. What'd you think of that game?
We lost her 3 times in the first half, and she made us pay every time. And then when that happens, then she's going to make everything. I mean, I watched her in warm up. It looked like Jimmy Chitwood out there. I just kept going, is she ever going to miss one? She's got such good timing, and they do such a good job of spacing around her and making it really hard to stay with her. And if y'all don't like watching Pritchard, she's so good at finding kids late. Again, that's one of the reasons I look at what she did. And I know they got in some foul trouble today. So she's a large part of the reason I think they're going to have a good year. It was a great performance by her.
Last thing that I have is I'd have to look at the numbers, but y'all are really good. Like last possession of a quarter or something. I know Mac hit the 3 going into the half. Just what do you think it is about your team that's so good in those situations?
We really watch 3 for 2s and 2 for 1s. It's something when the shot clock came in that we just started kind of paying attention to that thing and making sure we practice it. We do drills in practice. We call them stop, score, stop, score, stop, score. And they're just little 3 possession mini games. So we can refer back to what we've worked on in practice. But I do think it's been uncanny how many times we've gotten a big momentum into a halftime or a big momentum into a quarter or stave off a big drive. So I think it's because we've got a few veterans and we can, I think at times we really can space you out too. So, but I give them the credit for being able to take practice into a game. That's not always easy to do.
You mentioned something very interesting about maybe not as much joy after wins, but relief. And you've got this 2 games in 2 days, and then I think 3 before you get into SEC play. At what point is there a point where that can be problematic, or do you think that's something that every team faces?
Everybody I've talked to faces it. Every one of my coaching circle friends have said something very similar when we go to talking about it, of the sense of relief that hey, man, I'm so glad we won. So, man, at least that guy that runs the grocery store won't get on social media, or my daughter won't call me. The kids talk about it. I can look at my DMs. It's a real thing. And again, I'm not making excuses. I signed up for this. I got no problem with it. Some of it's justified. Some of it's funny. I get a kick out of some of it, but the kids, it's hard on them, and it's hard on us adults too. It's hard on my family. I've got kids that read social media. It's hard on my mom, who's 82 and wants to fight people. And I'm not sure she's ever fought anybody a day in her life. But if she saw a couple of these people, I think my mom would give them a go, So, I mean, I do think it's where I don't think it's going to change, Kevin. I think we have to become better at handling it, and we got to stick together. We got to be there for each other. And that's why we talk about so many things when we go to them. And we do. We just kind of made it a joke. Like, hey, who can bring the most idiotic thing in that you got, or post or whatever, and just, so far from the truth. And we have contests with it. So trying to make light of it, but then being there when the kids need you the most and being there for each other. There's been many times like Max just come to me and said, "Coach, you good? Coach, you good?" I said, "I'm real good, Mac. Why?" And she goes, "I'm mad. I got you when you need me." So I think it brings us together. I think it's become kind of a badge of honor a little bit, that we can take it, that we don't let it get to us, but it gets no easier. So that's that sense of relief I talk about. Now, that doesn't mean somebody's not going to, crush me for saying what I just said. Now, that's fine too, but it is reality, and we're living in it, and it's okay. It's okay. We have to be there for each other, but I think we can have a little fun with it too.
Coach, non-basketball question. Harding just won the Division II national championship.
Awesome.
As an Arkansas guy, what are your thoughts?
I almost went to Harding. So I've always followed them. I think it's awesome. I love following his quotes about, how their offense, how they do it, and how they go about building it. I think it's awesome for the community, for our state. And national championships are national championships. I don't care what it's in. Thanks for spoiling it. I had it recorded at the house, but I guess now I will not have to watch it as closely. I'm just kidding. All right. Thanks, y'all, for getting here. Thanks for following us.